Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. And also, make sure with so much content whizzing around out there, there's only one storytelling platform that helps you keep calm and stay informed and inspired: Flipboard. Now, what is Flipboard, you ask? Flipboard curates the world's stories so you can be smarter in your work, life, and play. Choose from thousands of topics to personalize Flipboard and get the latest stories from the best publishers and experts delivered to you 24/7. Much like David's life and observation, you're definitely going to want to stay informed, so access, utilize, and work with Flipboard. Get started now at flipboard.com. Welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Have you ever started a podcast? Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Have you ever tried to get a show off the ground? Are you wondering how to get your podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other places where you could possibly listen and perpetuate your message? Well, give Anchor a shot. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free. It's 100% your podcast and ridiculously easy to use. Thank you for listening to David's Life and Observation. Please keep the show going. Love you. Hello. Thank you for tuning in to David's Life and Observation podcast with your host, David Welch. Today's show is a show that covers a very specific microcosm problem in the whole grand scheme of public servants. One of the hugest issues that I have with public servants is that it's never equal footing. Here's what I mean. Cops will not cite other cops. They don't do it. Cops all the time, if they're breaking the law. I've even seen DUIs. There are cases where DUIs are often treated with kid gloves versus you and me getting our ass whooped on the side of the road by a police officer and his buddy. That's what would happen to us. Or we would be assessed the maximum fucking fine for any micro infraction of the vehicle code. This shit is boggling. Why is that a thing? Why do we allow that shit? We're the people that finance that operation. Yeah, the city's paying those assholes, but we should be putting the city to task for this dumb shit. Why is it that they get so many fucking special privileges? Why are these welfare recipients, these public servants, taking so much of our fucking money to treat us like shit? Like, are we masochistic as a society or what? And it's not even a level playing field. I mean, when they're playing against their buddies, they're given the best fucking equipment ever. But when they're playing against us, or if we're playing against them, we're fucking using a stickball to hit a baseball. Stickball bat to hit a baseball. So the results are not very good. Just annoying, guys. It's annoying shit. You know what's another piece of shit thing that we have as society? HOAs. Homeowners Association. Self-important fucks who terrorize the neighborhood in which you live just to fucking live there in their presence. Fuck that. I mean, a little story about myself here. Woke up this morning to a little fucking note on my vehicle. And it said, street parking. I looked around and I agreed that yes, my vehicle is parked on the damn street. I agree to that. Yeah, it is. Also not against the law. Also nothing wrong with it. But the warning is, oh, well, this is a final warning to you because you'll be towed. So the community I live in has passes.
Mind you, my pass is in clear fucking visibility, clear fucking sight at the front of my dashboard. All they had to do is step on their little tippy toes, crawl on my vehicle if they have to find that damn thing on my dashboard, which is clearly presentable. I drive a Dodge Journey. You don't have to look very hard to fucking see it. But I had a pass. And I'm still getting these bullshit ass warnings. Want to know why? Because people don't know how to keep their shit to themselves. They don't know how to fucking... It has to be one of the neighbors in this complex. He's part of the HOA. He lives here. He or she lives here. Their dog probably comes shit in the fucking sand pit these kids are supposed to play in every day. And then they find shit to bitch about. They find something to be mad about. So they go and terrorize their neighbors. And then they get your shit towed. And then the towing company harasses you for years to try and pay off that tow, even though it's not a valid tow. I'm sorry, people, but I'm telling you, in most cities, in most situations, if you're not on private property, which this can't be, this community that I'm in is an open gate. There's nothing declaring this as a closed property. There's no gate, there's no fence, there's nothing. Anybody should be able to just sit here and park. Now, there are signs now. There didn't used to be. Now there are signs that say no parking. This is a private U-shaped community street. Which, I don't know how they have grounding in... Which I don't know how they have grounding in law to do this, but they call someone to tow your vehicle. And it's amazing because essentially you can't have visitors stay the night, otherwise they have one of these stupid fucking stickers on their car. It's amazing. You can't even have guests stay the night and park on the street. Can't do it. Not in this fucking community. HOA is... There's always some asshole peeking over a fence. There's always some asshole fucking out there with a fucking ruler in your front yard, trying to see how tall your grass is and see if it violates one of their policies. Unfucking real we allow that to happen in our society. Now I know if Jorge down the street is running a fucking part-time tattoo shop in a garage out of his garage, and he's got fucking parts and shit everywhere and it's starting to look like, I don't know, damn near anywhere in Idaho, you know, then the neighbors may band together and have a conversation with that gentleman, invite him over for a barbecue, and politely say, hey, notice you got a lot of stuff. Do you need help clearing it out? You need help moving stuff, making this shit look a little bit more presentable? That conversation can happen. But it doesn't. They just hand you a fucking fine. Or they hand you and a friend of mine actually had this from her city. She had a letter from the city about her weeds. City code enforcement. An HOA and city code enforcement almost do the exact same thing, but they do it for their city. So not only could you get double fucked by the HOA and the city code enforcement, in fact, you could get triple fucked if it's the local police helping them and trying to find a discrepancy in the outward appearance of your fucking home. And it's just asinine that we live in a society where we pay pricks to come out and fuck with you. Like, your money that should be going towards education, building fucking roads, buildings of import, things like that. Nope. It goes to $80,000 a year to pay a prick to drive around in a little fucking vehicle to assess you something. Bring you up on a charge that's not even valid in the fucking court system because you don't even see a judge. You see a special magistrate. That's right, folks. A special fucking magistrate who has no basis in law. It's code. It's ordinance. Those aren't laws. Those are fucking rules to live by in that community. That's exactly what they are. But they're not law. Having stuff on your property, regardless of how obtuse it is, shouldn't cause people to come over and potentially get you raided, which has fucking happened, just to hand you a fucking ticket. What was that shit in the news the other day? I mean, just like small... I think my biggest gripe is that there's these small little groups within that get paid government money, that get paid essentially our tax money, to fuck with us. I mean, there's a lot of people that get paid to fuck with you. You got the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, ATF, your local police, your county sheriff, the code enforcement group, your fucking magistrate, your local dignitaries, is what I like to call them, your fucking mayor, all these motherfuckers are getting public dole and public dime, but they don't affect each other. They don't ever find each other. They don't ever fuck with each other because they're homie. They're buddy. But they will go out of their way to mess with you. They will go out of their way to terrorize the crap out of you. Because you're not part of their group. You're not part of the club. You're not part of the in crowd. Hey. And that's what happens. And we allow that to happen in society. Now, another group of self-righteous assholes is the medical community now. The medical community has purposely made waves. They purposely call other government-funded fucking agencies to terrorize people, to force them into their institution and pay. Let's take this couple, for example. Child came in with a 103-degree temperature. Doctor said, hey, this is likely what it could be. Making a very educated guess, like doctors do. Now, a person in their right mind is going to listen to a doctor. Now, the doctor did say, or it was asserted that, hey, if the temperature goes down, monitor the baby, watch the baby, and make your best judgment. Or if you're the parent and you take your child home, you go get the meds, you give it to the kid's fever goes down, kid doesn't spike another fever, but at 12 midnight you have a group of gangsters burst through your door with guns and shit to force your child away from you, take him back to the hospital, all for the doctor to say he has no temperature. But then the police are going to congratulate themselves on a mission well done. We're the police. We're the thin blue fucking line. And if you're not part of our group, fuck you. That's exactly their mentality. Now, I got two asshat fucking brothers-in-law that are fucking cops. They're cops. I don't respect their organization. Now, they're only asshats because they put on the uniform of a terrorist, of a gang member. But they're actually pretty nice people. Pretty decent dudes. But I don't have to respect their profession. I don't have to call them a fucking hero because they're not. What they do is organized violence against people. I don't like it. I'm not saying they've done this, but I'm pretty sure they've had reports get fucking really, really fucking interesting. And may or may not follow all the fucking letters to the tape. And I know sure as shit their buddies haven't. Mesa Police is a group of fucking thugs who have been caught on camera doing violence for no fucking reason. Who have killed people for merely reaching down to pull up their basketball shorts while unarmed in a fucking hallway. They can't have normal conversation with people. Cops, if you've noticed, and this is statistically true, that profession has the highest rate of domestic violence of any fucking profession outside of the military. Want to know why? Because these testosterone juiced up assholes are always looking for a fight. That's what they do. They terrorize people. They kick down doors. They're itchy trigger fingers. And it's all a culture of, hey, we're here to fucking make you submit to our will. The law be damned. You're going to do what we tell you to do. They don't care if they violate the law. City code enforcement makes shit up as they go. The magistrates use some sort of magic pen where there is no law created. It's a code created by people. If you're going to create an ordinance or a code, which we have seen several times in Texas and in Arizona, that don't follow the actual Constitution or the letter of the law, then why in God's green earth do we have to pay those fines and fees? In reality, we don't. In fact, everybody should challenge their code ticket. Everybody should be in court. And I really hope people start doing this. I really hope people will take the time. And I know we all work. I know we all have bills to pay. I know we all have kids to feed. And in your mind, it's probably easier, even though you didn't do anything wrong, it's probably easier to pay the fine than it is to go in and fucking actually deal with court, where you may be ruled against anyway. So here's what we should be doing as a society. One, I believe we should end up being like Russia, where everybody has a dash cam. Now it's mandated in Russia, not mandated here, but cars should really start being manufactured with those things in mind. Like, hey, let's go ahead and hook people up with these dash cams. Dash cams will save your fucking life, especially the ones that have all of the driving detail attached to it. Those things are badass. Now, not only that, you should have at least one interior camera facing inward towards you, the driver. That should be a thing. Have a camera, kind of get a good assessment of the situation, because cops will plant evidence. We have seen it in Baltimore. We've seen it literally all over the United States. It's insane. It is insane, people, how we allow that shit to happen. Cameras help. Now, they don't always help the situation, because you can get a cop full on lying to you. You can get a cop on camera full on breaking the law, and nothing still might happen to them. There needs to be a very, very strict law in place for false accusations from law enforcement officers. They should not be able to have any sort of leeway, no embellishment of the situation. They should be able to put the brass tacks facts. If they have to elaborate and put fictitious fucking words like he had a fighting stance when the dude clearly on camera is literally just standing there, that right there is perjury. They are fucking lying. Why are we allowing that shit to persist? Why are we allowing this community to constantly lie to the American people and then want us to drink their Kool-Aid like there's some sort of cool people to be around, to have in your household? They're not. It's just insane to me that we allow them to do that. And then you wonder why there are more incidences of people fighting back, people filming, people throwing a camera in their face. And then they have the gall to bitch about why their circumstances are the way they are. They created the circumstance. Not the people that are being pulled over, not the people that are in their homes getting raided at 2 o'clock in the morning who haven't done a thing, especially when you keep getting the wrong house, Houston, Texas. When you keep getting the wrong house, San Antonio.
Nano, give me your bag.
I think there was, 31 raids or something in Houston that had wrong houses raided? I mean, one is too many. But double digits? Seriously? I can't even fathom. Much less the city's not paying for shit. Wanna know why? Because the law enforcement officers themselves will investigate themselves and then justify their actions. Of course they will. Any organization that's allowed to investigate themselves will justify their actions unless it's too big of a hit and their PR people are like, no, remove that officer. But we're only going to remove the one, not the 8 other officers that were on the scene that either didn't prevent the crime from happening or that assisted in the crime. We don't talk about those guys. Only the one single officer that we saw doing the most egregious stuff. And that's how that usually happens. It's just unreal. HOAs. Special little fucking monster. City code enforcement. Self-righteous motherfuckers who gave themselves positions, who gave themselves titles, who wrote fictitious shit in a book and then expect you to follow it and know it verbatim. And then they always say, oh, ignorance of the law is no excuse, unless. There's actually an unless part that you don't know about. It's that ghost unless. That's unless you're part of their fucking group. Unless you're part of their little I'm gonna fuck with you community. If you're part of the I'm gonna fuck with you community, then you're good. Oh, well, neighbor complained that you have stuff all over your yard and this and the other, but you're the police chief, we're just gonna write it off, okay? No, motherfucker. He should get the same amount of fines, the same amount of fees everybody else does, if we're all in agreement. But I don't know how and where city code enforcement even came about. How is that even a thing? Where do they get their authority under the Constitution to do anything? They're not public officials. They're not elected. They make up their own shit. The only one, according to the Constitution, that has any real authority is the constitutional sheriffs. Even your local police department group of paid thugs and mercenaries really don't have the constitutional authority to violate your rights, but they give themselves that authority. How? How's that a thing? Where in law does police departments be allowed to in existence when, according to the Constitution, a constitutional sheriff or a sheriff, a county sheriff, are the only ones that have jurisdiction to do anything? It's just a miracle of modern science. The President of the United States, too. And I hope the Secret Service does listen to this. I really hope they catch wind of everything I'm about to say. The President of the United States is the arbiter of a lot of bullshit. And I am damn surprised he hasn't been taken out already. Just real damn surprised. In my opinion, he's going to be the laughing stock of the world. He already is, inside the United States. He has low approval ratings. He's a braggadocious asshole who was given $1 million by his fucking old man. Back in the day, that'd have been good for $50 million. To become richer, essentially. And then every time he goes through a bankrupt, it doesn't affect him personally, because he's already made his net worth. He just screws over his employees and the people that stay at his establishments. It's just incredible. But the President of the United States is costing people a lot of time, money, and energy because they endorse Nazi organizations like the Thin Blue Line. I can't believe that cities are allowing them to have those bastard flags on their uniform and be allowed to adorn themselves in garments of a disgraced and of a bastardization of the American flag. Who are they to go against flag code and disgrace it in such a way? It's amazing. I'm surprised I'm surprised people haven't really taken out the president. I mean, it's amazing to me that people haven't really made an attempt on him. I think one guy tried throwing a shoe or something. But he essentially is allowing all of the unjust things to take place in America. And here's how. You're like, okay, David, following you all the way up until then, now you're making huge claims. Well, here's my claim. When you knowingly endorse Nazi-backed organizations, and then give millions to further our police state to the rich who have policymakers and lawmakers in their pocket to make laws stricter on the poor and more lax for the rich. Because the rich, I'm telling you, they won't even see a day in court. Because those who are their patsy, their lawyers will go to court for them. They'll never see a day in court. We have huge organizations that have gotten bailed out and essentially re-stole some more money. And then where are they? They're going to be out with their hands out in a couple of years because they've not done well with that money. They've made incorrect decisions with their shit. So this is how the President of the United States, who in my humble opinion should be retired, who should be impeached. I mean, he's going to lose the presidency this next go around anyway, but the DNC is not helping themselves out. But neither are the Republicans. Make America great again. What about America was great? I'll tell you what about America was great. Here's what about America was great. The parts of America that were great are now dead. It used to be able to have confidence in law enforcement to actually do the right thing. Now, if you're someone from the black community, you're probably like, never have they had that outward appearance. But in my area, my neck of the woods growing up, yeah, they had that. Oh, well, you can go up to an officer, you have a problem. Can't do that now. Kids avoid police like the plague. They don't like them. Nobody likes them. They're hated because they lie, not because they're doing a job. They cry all the time, well, we do a thankless job. Well, nobody's going to thank you for ruining their life. What about the kid in New York who was thrown in Rikers Island for 3 years without a charge? I mean, how many man hours did that pay for? That's an insane amount of man hours that was paid for off of a kid's life who wasn't even charged with a crime. The fuck? Why is that allowed to happen? All this dumb shit's happening under President Trump. Who has he pardoned? Why isn't weed legal? We the people need to fucking take our balls back. We need to attack aggressively these little micro-organizations, even the Secret Service. Secret Service, where do they get the authority to tell people they can't do anything? What authority do they have? The Secret Service. What jurisdiction do they have? I want to see where in the law the Secret Service has their jurisdiction to say and tell anybody they can't do something. The FBI too. I want to see where in the law it says they have jurisdiction to prosecute anybody for a crime. Where? What amendment gave them authority to do this? Now, creating as a country, creating an organization to protect ourselves is one thing. Violating the rights of everybody on a day-to-day basis and suppressing knowledge and wealth going to poor communities is not part of the fucking job, assholes. And then constantly funneling cocaine, which has now been confirmed that it was a CIA-backed operation has now been confirmed by the gangsters themselves as a thing. Why are those in the CIA not being severely prosecuted right now? What is going on with that? Why are we not raiding that building and arresting every person on every floor? And then dragging them outside and hanging them outside on street lamps. Why is that not a thing? Same with the FBI. The FBI, we should track down everybody that was involved with the Waco incident. And not just prosecute them, but have them murdered, have them put to death for that. Because they illegally and unjustly raided the Branch Davidians. They illegally raided them. They killed a lot of people. Murdered them. For what? For stockpiling their right to bear arms. They attacked them because they didn't like them. Had nothing to do with the law. The FBI, the ATF, whatever organization, whatever Mickey Mouse organization led that, and those involved, every officer, every person involved with that operation should be put to death. They should be prosecuted and put to death because they murdered women and children. That was a genocide on our soil. We allowed it to happen. What about the bombing of Black Wall Street? I know we can't go that far back and prosecute those fuckers, but what we should do is go back, acknowledge that it happened, acknowledge that there should have been a national inquiry. There should have been several people dragged in front of a judge. And just because they're government employees doesn't mean they were right. We have seen Ruby Ridge, another prime example of somebody that should be arrested. Prime example of people that should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Ruby Ridge didn't need to happen, and they murdered people. How many other instances do we have? So many. We have so many people raided for no reason. So many people on the side of the street every night getting pulled over and handcuffed and sat in vehicles, when it's 100 fucking degrees and, inside the vehicle. For no reason. That's why we have Turner v. Driver. There aren't enough lawyers who practice federal civil rights to accommodate everybody who has their rights violated. There's just not enough. It would tank the system. That's why officers get off with it. That's why officers with a history of brutal violence are allowed to continue to work in that field. It's amazing. They're called gypsy cops. If you get fired from one organization, they don't take your certification. They don't take your post-cert. You go right on to the next job. Making $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year as a cop, terrorizing your community. And these motherfuckers actually get their jollies off with it. They really do. It actually excites them. They get excited about arresting people. You ought to hear them talk and have conversations about, oh, I busted this dude in his face, and you should have seen the look on that dude. Da-da-da. They do that shit. That's their locker room talk. They're disgusting human beings. Every officer. You may say, oh, Dave, not all. Just a few bad apples. How does that argument even fucking work when the saying goes, a few bad apples spoils the bunch? And that's what happens every time. And I'll put this to any officer right now. When was the last time you were in court, motherfucker, testifying against a fellow officer? I'll wait. When was the last time you were charged for perjury with all the lies and extravagant shit you put on paper? I'll wait. Doesn't happen very often. Because it would drag the system and then the city, and then the state would be at fault for all the bad shit that has happened to that family or that person. So, it's pretty much my show today. I'm going to keep it nice and short. I'm going to keep it under 35 minutes, or about 35 minutes. But that's, I talked a lot about small agencies, small parts of small pieces of the apparatus that is our justice system. Code enforcement. We even have HOAs that fall into that category. We have small little ABC organizations that I don't know where they get their authority under the law to do what they do. I don't understand. Now, going to law school will probably be something important for me to do. And I also do understand protecting our nation. I did it as a soldier. I did it as a sailor. But what I don't agree with is breaking the rules. And what I don't agree with is fucking up so badly where you ruin people's lives. Like going into Iraq. We went into Iraq with the understanding that, they have WMDs. Essentially, that's a no-knock raid that happened, and we didn't find anything other than people defending themselves. That's all we found. A strong nation like ours, went to war against sheep herders, goat herders, and some barbarians, yes. We did go to war against some barbarians. But to say it's not a theological war at that point then, or an ideology war, would be obtuse, because it's exactly what it was. It ended up becoming, we're a Christian nation, we don't like them. It wasn't even them, it wasn't even Iraqis, it wasn't even Afghanis that were on the planes that did the towers. We even confirmed that it wasn't even them. But we're going to go raid your country and then stay there for over 15 years. For what? And I'll ask you again, for what? Why are we allowing our president of the United States to sign executive orders to do shit that he's not been given permission by Congress to do? Executive orders weren't meant to be an overwrite of a congressional idea and a congressional plan in place to make our country work. Because we have this battle every 4 years. Every 4 years we have the battle of, what is this president going to come in and change? Because it fits their ideology. Why is it that we can't have an independent, a critical thinker in there for this next election? Why? If you guys have valid questions, if you guys see the things I'm saying, please shoot me an email, dwelch9627@gmail.com, or shoot me a text, 801-388-7083. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you. Like I said, I'm going to stick to my guns about what I said about the president. He should be impeached. I'm very surprised he hasn't been killed. I'm very surprised that he's been allowed to lead this country the way he has. Now, to be fair, he hasn't done the absolute worst job. There are some things that he has put in place that have gone in a good direction. But he has failed in so many other places, it's hard for me to even endorse the good things that he's done. In fact, a lot of the good that he's done is probably leftover from other administrations. So, let's keep it simple. Let's get rid of all these little Mickey Mouse organizations that are running under what authority, I have no idea. TSA. I mean, I get Border Patrol. I get it. I really do. But the FBI, CIA, nobody is going after them for the crimes they've committed. Nobody's gone after these other smaller organizations who put people in law enforcement capacities without any authority to do so. You okay? Okay. So, But let's do that. Email me. Let's have a discussion. I'll be happy to exchange ideas with people. And for my next show, I'm going to have a lot of kind of bigger things that are going on in society. I'm going to have specific stories that have broke, and we're going to talk about those at length and in detail. But I also want to shift gears a little bit for my next show and have it be more financially based. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh man, I don't even want to tune into the next show because if you're going to talk about finance, I don't want to deal with it. But we really should talk about finance as a country. We really should talk about our dollars and cents and where it goes. Now, talking about dollars and cents and will help you realize how much of your money goes into waste, goes into the abyss called your state government, to the abyss called the larger government apparatus and all their shit that they're doing, all the illegal stuff. And then, again, it's going to really broach the topic of auditing the Fed. It's a huge popular notion that's not popular in government. That is not popular at all right now in Washington, and it won't be. But auditing the Fed absolutely should happen this year or next year, and it should happen within the next couple of years. Has to, if we're going to understand where our money goes and where that waste is. And for people who have committed extreme fraud and waste, and we find out about it, I don't care who you are, where you're at, you deserve to be run into the dirt. All of your middle class and your upper class lifestyle should be ripped from your freaking hands and placed in the comfortable hands of people who haven't had a chance to fuck you up yet.